Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're just gonna do a little chit chat, get ready with me, talk about a couple products, etc, etc. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in watching, then grab your makeup. If it's first thing in the morning, get your coffee. Let's sit down and let's do our makeup together. Hang tight, we are about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Okay guys, so we're just gonna get ready and chit chat while we do it. You guys will get to see kind of what's in my current everyday routine, which I'll let you guys kind of see some of the cocktails that I do and some of the things that I play around with, especially when it just comes to like everyday before I head out to work kind of makeup. Right now for primer, I tell you what, I am still really loving the Stellar Beauty, the Brilliant Primer. There is something about the consistency of it that I absolutely love. And for those of you that don't know, I just have like the little sample of it because I still have like 3 of these samples and it takes forever to go through. And the consistency of it is, it's actually pinky, like a pink color. And the consistency of it is like this, but it's a very dimethicone feeling primer, but it has like this shimmer to it. So even though it's great for like smoothing out the pores and filling in like fine lines and wrinkles, it still gives you like this kind of radiance that I really, really, really like. And yeah, it does a great job at longevity with your makeup throughout the course of the day as well. So I like that primer, and I'm still using that every day. All right, so next we're gonna go straight into foundation, and I'll be honest with you guys, lately my routine has really bounced back and forth between the Stellar Beauty foundation and the, if I can get it out of here, Sunday Riley, the influencer foundation. I've really just on the daily bounced back and forth between these two. Lately though, just like yesterday and the day before, I've been trying just mixing up different foundations because, to be honest with you guys, I have a ridiculous amount of foundations. Like a ridiculous amount of foundations, and I have got to start using some of these. That's one of the downsides of constantly trying out products and playing with products, not only for the shop but also for you guys. And the next thing you know, you've got 30 bottles of foundation piled up, and I don't want to waste them, and they do have shelf lives, so I want to get through and use as much as I can because I'm really not about that waste. So one of the foundations that I have decided to do like a little cocktail with lately, and I've actually really liked it, is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. Now the Luminous Silk foundation is a foundation that I absolutely love, especially just for every day. Now there's a difference in the Luminous Silk and the Power Fabric foundation. I have both of them. The Power Fabric is very, very full coverage. The Luminous Silk is a little more sheer, a little more kind of that everyday type of a foundation, and I love it. So what I've been doing is I've been using the shade 5.5 on, you know, the outer perimeter of my face. I just put it on my little palette here, and then I'll just go in the outer perimeter of the face. So we'll do here and here. I like to just get it on there with a brush and then go in with a beauty blender and really just press it into the skin. Alright, so once I have the perimeter done and blend it in, and that's kind of what that finish looks like. So it's very natural. You can still see a little bit peeking through here, which for me is fine on like an everyday kind of situation. The one thing I will say about the luminous silk is that you can build it up, but for every day I just don't. I like just that single, very skin-like finish. So, all right, so we've used all of that pump up. So we are going to, for the center of the face, we're going to do something a little different. Now, for those of you that have ever seen a past video where I reviewed the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, which is basically a primer that you put underneath your foundation, or you can mix it in with your foundation, that is like a highlighter, and it really, 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 really makes your foundation very, very shiny. A lot of people commented on that video that they loved the glow that it gave me. It was just a little too glowy for my taste. I found a fantastic dupe that is a good kind of middle ground for me, and that is the Physicians Formula Illuminating Primer in Spotlight, and it looks like this. And you can just get it at the drugstore. It's by Physicians Formula, and this product is amazing. And I've reviewed it before. It is just like the Hollywood Flawless Filter in that it just gives your skin, when you prime your skin with it, it just gives your skin this beautiful reflective type of illumination to it, so that when you put your foundation on over top of it, it looks really, really glowy and very shiny and highlighty and very pretty. So now that I'm to the inner sections of my face, what I'm going to do is not only am I going to use that illuminating primer underneath, but I'm also going to kick my shade up a notch. So I'm going to make it a shade lighter. So the perimeter of my face will be a little darker, and then the middle of my face from a foundation perspective will be just a little bit brighter. This is just a different technique that you can use to brighten that kind of center portion of your face. You'll see a lot of people, they'll draw these big triangles on their face to brighten their face, to draw light to the center of the face. I have a lot of texture underneath my eyes, so slathering all that concealer on doesn't always work so well for me, so sometimes I have to do other tactics in order to pull a brightening effect towards the center of my face, and this is one of them. So what I do is I take the typical shade of the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk in the 5.5, which is the shade that I put on the outer perimeter of my face. And then what I'll do is I go in with the Cover FX Power Play. Now, my skin tone in the Cover FX Power Play is NC45. This is NC30, which is a couple of shades lighter than my actual skin tone. So what I'll do is I'll just take the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk foundation, and I just drop a couple of drops of the lighter foundation into this foundation, and then that will lighten the foundation a little bit up, and that'll be what I use in the center of the face. That'll just give a nice kind of brightening effect to the center of the face. Before I do that though, I am going to go in with the Physicians Formula Illuminating Primer, and I'm just going to put this in areas where I want to draw attention or highlight. So we like to see a lot of glow here in this area, so I do put this primer underneath here because I love the way foundation sits on top of it, and it makes such a pretty natural glow underneath your foundation. So I put some of it here, and then I also will take it and I will put some of it down the bridge of my nose, right here, and in my forehead, right here in the center. And I'll also put a little bit here on the chin and right across here. And you can see what a highlighted effect this gives. And again, you just put your foundation right on top of this because this is a primer. All right, so we have the illumination in the areas that we want it and down the center, and now we're gonna go in with our foundation and just put that over top. I need to mix my foundation together, that would be great. And again, this isn't gonna be so bright that it's a huge difference between the perimeter of my face and the interior of my face. It's only gonna be maybe a shade lighter, so the difference is not gonna be overly noticeable. Enough so that it will blend right in with the perimeter shade. But you can see that highlight still as it shines through the foundation, and I really love that look. It's really pretty. And you see this is just the interior of the face, and then we'll just blend it out. And I really try and avoid putting any kind of excess product underneath my eyes, because the less product I put under there, the better for me. Too much product and it'll build up and start looking really cakey in the under eye area, and nobody wants that. All right. And there you have it. And even though the foundation is on now, you can still kind of see that shine coming through the foundation where we put the illuminating primer underneath, and I really like it. I think that's just absolutely a gorgeous look. And instead of paying, what is it, like $60 for the Hollywood Flawless Filter, I am just happy paying $15, I think is what it was, for the Physicians Formula. Alright, so now we're going to move on to corrector. So lately I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between the good old Click Stick. You guys know I've talked to you guys a lot about the peach in the Click Stick. I really love the peach corrector from Cover FX. This is one of my favorite correctors. Also from Makeup Revolution, they have the corrector that we've discussed a couple of videos back that has a sponge tip with the corrector actually in here. And this is a great peach corrector as well. So I've kind of bounced back and forth between the two. I think today I'm going to use the Cover FX one just because I haven't used that one in a while. I've kind of been stuck on the Revolution one. So I'm just going to use my finger and dab that just in the areas where I actually need the coverage, which for me is the tear trough. I will say I'm so glad that this eye debacle is finally starting to be over with. I have a lot of dryness underneath here, and my skin is still split a little bit and cracking just from where it was stretched out so much. But all of you guys' well wishes and wishing me the best has really been amazing, and I really appreciate you guys. But yeah, that was a nightmare. I was so upset about that. And I will say I have been in further communications with Kate Somerville, because you guys know me. I'm not just going to let it go when I feel like there's a product on the shelf that shouldn't be there. And I've pushed and pushed and pushed about getting that product pulled and not allowing something like what happened to me to happen to anybody else. And I cannot get them to say that they're going to take the product down. What I have gotten is assurances from a lot of different people within Kate Somerville that this is a huge concern and that they are aware of it. And everybody has been super nice and super empathetic, and I don't know. I mean, as nice and as empathetic as everybody's been, so it's hard when you have people saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, what can we do, blah, 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 blah. And they're doing everything that they can to make sure that you as a customer are okay, but they refuse to pull the product. I have a hard time reconciling those two things. You know what I'm saying? All right, so our corrector is on, and it did a really good job of hiding those dark circles, didn't it? I really like that Cover FX corrector. I feel like I come back to it a lot. That and the Makeup Revolution corrector. I usually have both of those just sitting on my vanity, and I reach for them. So today I'm going to try the Retouching fluid by Hourglass, and one of the reasons why I've been really liking this lately is because of my eye issues. I don't want a thicker concealer underneath my eyes. I want something that's very thin and it's not heavy so that I don't get a lot of gunkiness going on. And I have found that the Retoucher fluid by Hourglass has been very effective at that. Another thing that I really like about this product is that it's marketed as a fluid that you can keep with you to retouch your makeup throughout the course of the day. So say some foundation comes off the tip of your nose or your chin. You're supposed to be able to throw this in your purse, whip it out, touch up certain places, and you're good to go. And I will say that if you don't set your makeup very heavily with powder, this is a good product to use for that reason. And it is very effective and it works great. I have had it in my purse. I've used it throughout the day as touch-ups. But if you like that full cover glam kind of look, this is not going to be a product for you. If you're just looking for something very light to have in your purse for the everyday, go in and try a sample of this and just carry it around with you and just use it throughout the day as you notice maybe a little foundation coming off your nose or a little coming off your chin, and you'll find that it's actually very handy to have something like this laying around. And it's actually a really good formula, and I really like using it as a very light everyday concealer. Not when I'm trying to look full glam and do like pictures and meetups and events and meetings and stuff like that. I will definitely go in with my KKW or my Cover FX concealer or something that I know is going to be a lot more full coverage and will wear heavier throughout the course of the day. This is definitely not that concealer, but I'll show you it is a very pretty look. So this is in the color Natural, and it just looks like this. It just says Hourglass on it, and then on the back it just says The Veil. And it just has a regular doe foot applicator, just like concealer would. And I'll show you the consistency. So as you can see, it's not like incredibly full coverage. It's very, very sheer. And it's very lightweight, and it feels really good on the skin as well. It doesn't feel like you have a heavy concealer on. I have noticed it dries down fairly quickly, which is great when you're doing retouching. It dries down to a very nice dry finish, so it doesn't stay wet, and that's great. When it comes to retouching, that's exactly what you want in a formula. In a concealer, it just means you have to work fast. I just pat it out. And that's it. And as you guys can see, it has brightening agents in it, so you can see how it's brightening underneath the eye here. It's just very light. It's not anything crazy or dramatic, but it does have a nice dry down to it, so you don't really feel like you have to set it. Now, I go in and set it just because of creasing, so I don't like when things crease on me, so I do set it. But overall, it's a nice, lightweight, everyday kind of concealer. I'm happy with it. So speaking of which, we're going to, before we start setting things, I want to get my liquids out of the way. So one liquid that I've been loving lately, and just because of the tone of it, is the Charlotte Tilbury Contour Wand. So she has a contour wand and a highlight wand, and before I tried the highlight wand, I just wanted to try the contour wand, and this is what it looks like. So it's just this, it's just a tube, and it's got a little sponge applicator, and the contour product just comes through the sponge, a lot like the Magic Eraser concealer, but I don't like to use the sponge. I like a little bit more of a precise application. So what I do is I actually squeeze a little bit of it out on a palette, and then I take a brush, and I actually use a brush just to place it, and then I go in and I actually blend it out. The main reasons I love this is just because of the tone of it. It is a beautiful tone, and it blends out perfectly. I love it, and it's great for contour. If you guys haven't tried this formula, try it. And you know where I got mine to try mine from was from GlamBot. If you guys have never heard of GlamBot, it's got gently used makeup that they put through a sanitation process. So somebody's bought it and they don't like the tone, or they don't like the shade of it, or it's just not for them. They send it to GlamBot, and GlamBot will resell it. And you know, they have processes that they put their makeup through and resell the formula, and you can actually find some really good deals there. And you can sort by how you would like your products to show up. Like, you can find stuff that's been 60% used, 70% used. I tend to look for new products that are just purchased but not appreciated or liked. And this was one of those. Somebody purchased it and they didn't like the tone of it. Alright, so I'm all contoured out. Nose, underneath here, cheeks, forehead, and then you just blend, and it blends beautifully. It just is a perfect tone. It's just a perfect tone. It just is. I love everything about this. But there's not a lot that Charlotte does that I don't find myself like falling in love with. Now, I'm not a huge fan, believe it or not, of her eyeshadow formula. I mean, it's okay, but I don't know. There's just, you see, look at that. It's so pretty. There's a lot of shimmer in her eyeshadow formula, and I'm not a huge fan of the mattes in her formula. So the eyeshadow stuff that she's done is just not for me. But all of her face products, her highlight, her bronzer, the that duo that she has, oh my god, it's gorgeous, and I love the highlight in it. That I have it down here somewhere. This duo right here, the, what is this called? The Film Star Bronze and Glow, where you have the bronzer and then you have the highlighter here. One of my most used, most loved Charlotte Tilbury products. And then of course her powder. I love. I wasn't a big fan of the Magic foundation. For some reason, it's a consistency thing. I don't like the consistency of it, and on me, it tends to really sink into my fine lines, and that's a no-no. Anybody that knows me or have watched any of my foundation reviews, one of the first things that I review is my smile lines, and whether or not a foundation is sinking into smile lines. And if it does that, then that's like an immediate no-no for me. We are not going to be friends after that. So yeah. Alright, so we have our face bronzed up, and it just warms the face up beautifully. I absolutely love the tone of this contour, and it's everything. Charlotte Tilbury and the products that she makes are everything. Alright, so now to brighten a little bit, I'm going to go in with some KKW number 4. And I'm just going to go right down the center of the nose like this. And I'm going to be right here. And a little right here, and we'll do a little right here. Not too much. And I'm, again, loving the KKW concealers. I use them a lot. If I'm just going out every day, I tend to use them to brighten. But when I have an event or a meeting or something that I'm really getting dolled up for, I use their concealers a lot. It's either the KKW or the Cover FX concealer. One of the two. Alright, so we've got the brightening down, and then I just like to darken the tip here of my nose because my nose is a pug nose, and the more we can downplay that, the better we all will be. And then there we go. And another tip about contouring, if you guys want to make this little divot on your lip look a little deeper, you can highlight here and here, and then you can darken here. So I'm exaggerating it a little bit for you guys, making it like really obvious. But what that will do is it'll make that little divot right here above your lip look really pronounced. And then by nature of that, it will make your lips look very plump and look a lot bigger once you have your lipstick and everything else on your face. Yeah, I'm not a fan of 17 layers of foundation on my lips either. I just can't do it. Alright, so foundation is on, and we have put all of our liquids on as far as highlight and contour is concerned. So now it is time to set the face. The first thing I'm going to set is the under eye area. Lately, for the under eyes, I have fallen in love with this talc-free formula. Talc-free is really important to me, especially when it comes to under the eyes, because that's where I tend to cake the most. So I really like using a talc-free formula, particularly under the eyes. So for me, lately, that has been the Hourglass Veil. And I talked to you guys about this in a previous video. And this is a beautiful powder. And especially considering that it's talc-free, it does an amazing job at setting the under eyes. So always want to go in and make sure we're not creased. So we'll go in and pat the creases out and then go right behind it with a light dusting of powder. And I'll put a little bit of a layer on there, and then I'll just let it sit for a minute. And then we'll go in there and we'll dust it out. And then we do the same on the other side. And then at this point, I've already put the Urban Decay primer on my lids, so I will just sweep this powder over top of my lids at this point, just to get any stickiness out of the primer. And then I'll work this powder in around the face, get any excess out of there. Alright, so we have set underneath the eyes. Now we're going to set the rest of the face. Now, if you guys have fine lines and wrinkles on the face, you want to do to the face the same thing that you did to your under eyes. You want to make sure that there's no creasing going on before you set the face. So for me, that's here in expression lines, my 11s, and smile lines. So we want to make sure all of those are no longer creased. And then I'm going to go in with, to set my face, I go in with the setting powder from Viseart that I have talked to you guys about recently. And the finish of this stuff is amazing. It just, oh my gosh. It just fills in every pore. It really just makes a beautiful finish on the skin. And I don't even know if you guys are going to be able to tell. Probably. It is the most beautiful powder in the world. And typically, when I set my makeup, I will actually put a powder like this into a velour puff I'll rub it together like this, and then I'll go in rolling and patting motions like this to really work the powder into the foundation and make sure that it's set, especially in my T-zones and areas where I need my face to not move throughout the day. However, this Viseart powder is so finely milled that I really find that that is not necessary. Just a pressing with a big flat brush like this, just pressing it into the skin like this is sufficient. I don't really have to do all the rest of that because it's already incredibly finely milled. And there we go. The face is set. Alright guys, and now it's time for brows, which in my opinion are incredibly boring, but I will let you guys see just me doing, and this is just what I do on the everyday, so you're not going to see me like carve it out, use 10,000 products, which I have been known to do on just my brows. This is just an everyday fill-in, so very simple, very easy. Now, I will say I do tend to use a pencil towards the front of my brow and on the top of my brow where I need to go in and do like fine detailing work. And then when it comes to actually like filling them in and the tail, I do tend to transfer over to a liquid just because for me, it's better. A liquid or a pomade, either way. There's a liquid that I really like by Westmore Beauty, and it's very similar to the Wonder Brow. It's almost the exact same thing. Or you can use the Wonder Brow, or you can use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Pomade, which is what I'm getting ready to go in with. And then I'll just use that to go in and fill in any holes or spots that I see that need to be shaded in just a little bit more. And then just for a nice little finishing touch, I told you 20 products. I really like the Brow Gal, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this. This is by Tanya Crooks, and for me, this is like the perfect tone and the perfect texture, the perfect wand, the perfect everything. It's this little teeny tiny brush. It's the perfect tone. It has these little fibers in it, so if you have sparse brows, it'll give you a little bit of fullness. But what I like about this is once you've done the work on your eyebrows, I go through it with this and it sets everything without it being hard and crunchy, but everything won't move for the rest of the day. And it's a very quick, just kind of sweeping through the brows. And I love that about this product. And it gives you just a little bit of added volume. And this product is fantastic for that. And then you can just kind of set it and forget it. And there we are, one brow down. So you can see the difference. It's not like I'm like carving out a whole other brow. It's just really kind of filling in the sparseness, giving it a little bit more definition and shape, and then moving on. So I'm going to do the other one, and you don't have to watch. Okay, brows are done. And now we're going to go into just an everyday nude kind of look. So what better palette to use than the Nudie Patootie. We're going to use the Nudie Patootie today, and we're going to create just a normal, everyday, very easy nude look. And the first color I'm going to use is, I think I'm going to use Stripped, which is this color right here. It's kind of a mustardy yellow color. Very interesting color. I think I'm going to use that for my transition color. So let's start there. And I'm just going to get that blended in nice. And speaking of which, actually we weren't even speaking of this at all, but I figured I would tell you guys. So, customer service. Whatever happened to it? Like, where did it go? So, I got a foundation from a company, and I wanted to review it for you guys. And I don't know, should I say the name of the company? Yeah, I guess. So the Beauty Bakery. So the Nude Beauty Bakery foundation, right? So when did that come out? Like forever ago, right? So the day it launched, I made sure that I already knew what my color was going to be. And just for the record, you can reach out to different companies, and Beauty Bakery has done this for me. Sunday Riley has done this for me, and just send them a DM. Like for the Beauty Bakery, I sent them a DM of what all of my current foundation colors are. Like I gave them my color in the NARS Sheer Luminous, and in the Cover FX, and in, you know, a lot of different popular foundations, and they will recommend a shade to you based on what your current foundations are. And I have found that that helps a lot when it comes to purchasing a foundation or a concealer online over the internet. It really helps more than you think that it would. So I reached out to them and said, this is what I am in NARS Sheer Glow, this is what I am in Cover FX, and I gave them a couple of other foundations, and they told me what color that I was, and on the day of the launch to try that particular color. So that's what I did, and I really like this mustard color. That's really pretty as a transition color. Alright, so next, I think I'm going to go in on, so that was on a Morphe M504 brush, which is just a fluffy blending brush. And now I want to go in with a thinner brush just to get a little bit deeper into the crease. So for this one, I'm going to use a M441. And as you can see, it's just a little thinner and a little firmer, so that can get me like right in that crease. And that's where I'm going to go in with Butt Naked, which is this lighter color right here. And you know, they're light, but they're not super light. I'm surprised by the amount of pigmentation in these. Alright, so we're going to go in with Butt Naked, and I'm going to put it right in that crease. So back to the story. So I had my color, and I had my launch, or I was waiting for the launch so I could get my foundation. So it launched, I ordered my foundation color, and got my confirmation number and everything, and was like, great, fine, good to go. So I waited a couple of days, and then I got a notification that my order had been filled, and I got a tracking number. So I was like, great. The Beauty Bakery is always good with making sure things get here in a very timely manner. So that's a really pretty combination. So I expected within usually about 3 to 4 days, it will actually be here. And so I waited 3 to 4 days, and it never showed up. And I thought, well, let me check the tracking number, and let's see what the tracking number says, right? So I went back into the account, and I grabbed the tracking number that was given to me when they said the order was filled, and I put it into the UPS system, and the UPS system stated that they had, a label had been created, but they hadn't received the package yet. So, like, it hadn't even been shipped yet. They hadn't even, like, they just created the label for it, but they didn't actually ship the product off. So I reached out through Instagram and was like, look, it's still not shipped out. What's going on? It's been like a hot minute. And they responded back and said that due to the popularity of the foundation, that they were backed up and it was going to take a couple of days, blah, blah, blah. Very canned answer, right? I'm going back in with the fluffy blending brush, and I'm just, you know, blending these two together. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I let it go, and I just thought they're really behind, like more behind than I've ever known the Beauty Bakery to be. And I mean, even when I've gotten products from them that were much more in demand than the foundation was, I still didn't deal with them being this quote-unquote backed up. So I thought maybe, you never know what people are dealing with, inventory issues, whatever. So I said okay, and was just patient. So another week goes by, and I have heard nothing. I log back in, and do you know that that UPS label had still just been created, and no one had sent to the package yet. In the meantime, reviews are going up. Everyone's reviewing the foundation everywhere. I'm like, what is going on? Everyone else has this damn foundation but me. So now I'm like, where's my foundation? So next, I'm sorry, pause. I'm going to go in with Nakey, this darker one, and a flat MAC 217. It's just that flat, thin brush, and I'm going to put Nakey just kind of on the outside here. So I'm like, okay, where's my product? What's going on? So I reach out to, via Instagram, I reach out to her again, and I'm like, hey, so, like, what's going on, right? And I get the same canned answer. You know, we're just really behind in product. And this time I'm like, okay, listen, it's been like 2 weeks. The whole country has gotten theirs. I still haven't gotten mine. I have a label and a tracking number. It's sitting somewhere, but someone just hasn't sent it. So at this point, you know, my frustration is coming through. And so she says, okay, I'm really sorry. I'm going to check with the team, and the person I need to ask isn't going to come in until like 7:30, so they're not going to be in for a little while. I will, and this is, you know, Pacific time, so for me it's like, you know, in the middle of the afternoon. But she's like, okay, and I said, okay, no problem. And she said, I'll check back with you. And I didn't, and then I'm going in with just a big fluffy blending brush, and I'm blending the Nakey out. So I didn't hear anything from her for 2 more days. I was like, my God. So 2 days goes by, and I DM her again, and I'm like, so does anyone know what in the world is going on? And her response to me was, oh, I'm so sorry, that team member that I needed to talk to is actually in the hospital. I mean, so I'm obviously at this point not trying to sound like a cold-hearted person that has no empathy for someone in the hospital, right? But obviously at this point I'm like, really? Really? But whatever. So, number one, I couldn't believe that she said it to me. Like, how, even if that was the case, would you tell a customer that? Like, would you tell a customer that? I don't think I would tell a customer that. I don't think I would tell a customer, hey, we've had someone in the hospital, and that's why I can't deal with you right now. Like, I would never say that. I would leave that completely out of the equation. But, I don't know. I guess it's just me. So, she tells me this person's in the hospital, and I'm like, okay. And then, so I'm thinking, you know, okay, well, she's going to go find the answer because her contact was unavailable, apparently. But no, 2 more days goes by, and I hear nothing from anyone. So, just nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, okay. So, at this point, I write an email. I'm done with the DMing on Instagram, and I actually get a hold of their customer service email, and I take a big screenshot of all the interaction over the course of the last month on Instagram DM. And I just take a screenshot of it, and I stick it in the email, and I say, can someone please, for the love of God, go find my box and make sure that it gets to UPS a month and a half later. This is where it actually gets good as far as Beauty Bakery is concerned, because now I get a response back that's basically like, oh my God, I am so sorry. She was as mortified as I was over the whole telling me what was going on with the person in the hospital and all of this other stuff, and she was just mortified. And she couldn't believe it. She was like, I am so sorry. That should never have been part of the conversation. Oh, I forgot to tell you the best part. After I was told that the employee was in the hospital, and that's why I couldn't get an answer to where my product was, I got a message like 5 minutes later. Oh, I'm going in with Jaybird now. It's this glittery one. I got a message that said my order had been refunded. Like, your order from the Beauty Bakery has been refunded back to you. Refunded? Like, what do you mean it's been refunded? Like, just canceled? You just canceled my order? What? What is happening? What is happening right now? So that's when I wrote the email, and I was like, listen, now it's apparently canceled a month later. I don't know, like, what is happening? I was like, what is happening? And that was when the person was like, oh my God, I am so sorry. And you could tell the person that responded to the email really was just mortified over the whole thing. Over the fact that I knew that employees had been in the hospital and nobody just went and found my box or tried to find out what happened, or she was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And that was kind of amusing. Her reaction was pretty funny and made me feel like I wasn't crazy, because there for a minute, you know, you're like, am I a crazy person? Am I a crazy person? Am I a crazy person for, that's really pretty. I really like that. Am I a crazy person for thinking that someone should know where my order is by now, you know? And you just start to doubt yourself through the whole process. Of like, am I being overly demanding? Am I being, you know, you question yourself. And she was like, you know, absolutely not. And oh my God, I'm so sorry. So not only are they sending me the foundation that I initially ordered a month ago, but they're paying for it. And she said, we'll send it to you on us. We won't make you pay for it at this point, my God. And then, of course, she said, we'll send you a couple extra goodies along with it just for the inconvenience, which was super, super nice because they didn't have to do that. But, you know, so good customer service, good response. So as much as I say oftentimes, you know, hit them up on Instagram DM and they'll tell you what your shade is and this, that, and the third. That's good, and do that, because for things like shade matching and questions about product, it is a useful tool to reach out to brands via Instagram. But that's really kind of where it stops. After that, if you need any help when it comes to customer service, just email them. Don't go through Instagram DMs, because then you get all kinds of crazy answers. Yeah, so that's nuts. But then again, not every company is like that, right? So Kate Somerville is a perfect example. When I got the product that screwed my eyes up for so long, the first customer service rep that I talked to, the one that told me to use my fingers, that was actually through their website chat service. I went to their website and clicked chat with a representative, and actually chatted through them on their website and got that awful response and no sense of urgency, and oh my God, we're just going to send you the same thing all over again. And if you have any further issues with it, just cut the tip off and use your fingers. What? When that happened, I actually reached out to Kate Somerville. I made the video for you guys because I immediately wanted you guys to not get the product. That was like my biggest concern. And then after that, while I was nursing my eyes back together and getting it back together, because it really did, I'm going to go in with Stark on the inner corner. It really was, it was not good, guys. It was not a good situation. But I actually reached out on Instagram to the Kate Somerville team and was like, look, this is what your chat person told me to do. I said, you know, while I appreciate you guys sending me additional product and advising me to use my fingers, I have a concern with the product still being on the shelf. I'm not very confident that she is really going to pass it on to the team and make sure the team is aware and that the team is aware and they're working on it, because that's what she said, that the team was aware, they're working on it, she was going to pass my concern on to them, you know, all of the pacifying things that they tend to say to you. And I thought this was, you know, a pretty serious issue, so I wanted to make sure that that was actually the case and that was actually happening. So this one thing I was pretty persistent about, just because I'd had such a bad experience with it. I was just not happy. And the Instagram customer service representative through Kate Somerville was so much more empathetic than the chat representative was. She was immediately like, oh my God, I am so sorry. And asked me for my email address so that they could actually go back and look at the conversation between me and the representative, so that they could actually sit down with the team and discuss how they're going to handle communications about this issue with the public in the future and what they can possibly do in the future regarding this particular product. And her response, you just knew that you were talking to somebody within the organization that took the issue seriously and was genuinely going to find some resolution to it or make sure that people knew about it. So in that sense, I was really happy with her, particularly as a customer service rep. However, they still weren't talking about pulling the product, which is that's my biggest issue. So I'm kind of conflicted right now when it comes to Kate Somerville. I'm happy that I'm going to go in with blush, and this is from Makeup Revolution. This is the color Fancy, and I love this color because it is a nice matte color. And these Makeup Revolution blushes last forever, like forever. And another thing that I've learned too is the older that you get, you lose volume in your face. So the older that you get, when you smile, if you put your blush on the apples of your cheeks and then you don't smile, for older ladies, the apples of our cheeks when we're not smiling drop down pretty low. And you can't really put blusher on the apples of your cheeks anymore, because for us, when we stop smiling, now our apples are no longer here, they're here. And that is way too low for blush. So you have to, on more mature skin, you have to lift the blush up a little bit and push it up a little higher. So you want to kind of put it in this zone here, which is still very pretty and still very flattering, but it keeps it high up. It keeps your, you know, everything lifted and back so that it's not droopy and sad because you're old now. And that's just reality. But I love that blush color. It's just a beautiful color. It's really, really pretty, and it lasts all day. So it'll stay this color now, and it'll be this same color 8 hours from now. All right, now because my contour, that Charlotte Tilbury contour is really a good contour, especially when it comes to kind of warming the face up. I'm not going to go in really heavy with bronzer, but I do want to just tap on a little tiny bit. And I love, if you guys haven't gotten the Tantastic by Marc Jacobs, it is only out for a certain amount of time every year, and then it goes away until next year. And I'm thinking they're probably going to do the same thing this year. It's limited edition through the summer. It is like the perfect bronzer shade. It's worth every dime, and I absolutely love this bronzer. But again, because the Charlotte Tilbury does a really good job of warming the face up, I only just tap on a very small amount just to give my skin a little bit of that glow, and I really like it. And I like using these like thin brushes that you get. I always save them out of the Benefit square boxes of blush because they make great nose contour brushes, and I love this Tantastic just right down my nose. It's a perfect shade. It's not too much, and it really does a great job. And it's a perfect little finishing touch that you guys probably can't even really tell from this far out. Go in with a big fluffy brush and blend the bronzer down. Alright. And then I want a very natural highlight, because again, this is just every day, so we're not trying to trick out the highlight and be seen from space. So I'm going to pick something very natural today, which is just going to be the Hourglass in Dim Light. This is great for just an everyday highlight that is not blinding and is just very natural. And it pairs great with that Physicians Formula underneath. They play very nicely off each other. And it's just a perfect amount for during the day. I'll do it down the bridge of my nose and my Cupid's bow. And the good thing about the dim light is that you can be pretty generous with it, and you're not going to be like, oh my god, what did I do? And it just really is beautiful. It is the Hourglass powders all over are just stunning. Alright, so we're gonna throw on a lash, and I'm gonna just curl the lashes. If you guys have not tried the Shuimura lash curler, and if you are the kind of girl that has issues with normal eyelash curlers, so when you put it on you have a hard time getting like the outside or the inner corner, or it just doesn't feel like it fits your eye right, I would highly recommend that you get the Shuimura eyelash curlers. They're 100% worth it, and they will change the way that you curl your eyelashes. I love those eyelash curlers, and they changed the game for me. So, alrighty. And then I'm gonna put on some Buxom, just the regular Buxom lash mascara. I love the wand on this particular mascara, and I love the formula. This is a great mascara, particularly if you're wearing false eyelashes, because this is not going to be a kind of mascara that you would want to wear like on its own, because it's not like overly dramatic, but it does a great job at separation of your lashes, so that when you do put your false eyelashes on, your real lashes will blend in with your falsies very well, because they're nice and fluffy and separated, and they're not heavy and caked down with a very heavy product. So I do use different mascara if I'm wearing falsies than if I were to not wear falsies. And this is one of my favorite mascaras to use if I know I'm going to be putting on a set of falsies. Alright guys, so the lashes are on, and I'm going to go do my hair, and then I will be back and we will finish the lips and go out with some final thoughts. Hi guys, we are back. So I think because everything looks kind of brown, and then we've got some cranberry on the lids, we're just going to do like a nude lip. So I think I'm going to do the Makeup Revolution Nude collection that we talked about earlier. I love this lipstick. I love the formula. It's just a matte. It's just a really pretty darker nude matte formula, and the formula is really nice. It's not really drying. It doesn't get all cracky and cakey on you. It's just a really nice, darker nude. I think that's gonna do it for us today. Alright guys, so that's it. Listen, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I really, really enjoyed it. Stay tuned. We've got some fun stuff coming up this weekend. We also have our announcement for our contest winners, so stay tuned for that. As always, I hope you guys are happy and healthy, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Mwah.